Good evening. It's Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole, what's up? It's our show from other Millennial news podcasts.
Nothing. What? I've got nothing.
We have a boomer and a Gen Zer, and not just any boomer and Gen Zer. We have Mr.
I guess you'd say we're over endowed.
BoomerRex himself, who won't shut up.
Our nitwit runneth over.
And my spawn, Sleet.
Oh, where am I again? What are we doing?
Asshole and Boomer eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and Sleet and I are learning. That's 4 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. Okay.
Who am I? Where am I? What is my motivation?
What is my motivation? Tonight we have coverage of today's...
I get by starting small fires and trash cans.
Dude, I'm in the middle of talking, and you just can't stop yourself.
You need to teach me how to eat politics. I need to learn this.
Believe me, if we knew how.
All right, so tonight we have coverage of today's January 6th hearings. Lots of interesting things came out today, so let's get through these headlines.
Oh boy.
Coming home.
So, there's a meteorite whose name is Black Beauty. And she weighs about 300 grams. And she's from Mars. And so we have now discovered the crater that she came from on Mars.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So, we know where to take her home to. So, I'm sure she's lonesome.
What? I'm very confused. So we have a rock here on Earth.
We have a meteorite that we know came from Mars.
How do we know it came from Mars?
We know from its material composition and its age, which is 4.5 billion years. It's nearly the oldest rock ever analyzed.
Okay.
But we have found the matching crater on Mars with other
matching
rocks.
That is like what? Like 1 million? Like that's pretty
cool. And I could believe it could be any one of a dozen craters scattered across,
right?
Some Martian plain that has similar material. But the point is, yes, we're
within a zip code.
We're not really gonna
we've got
send
a
her
zip
home
code.
though, are we?
Well, not her front yard, but her zip code.
But we're not really gonna send her home, are we? We're gonna keep that thing.
I don't know. We could bring another one and put her back.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll bring a friend, and then she'll have a friend, and then it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she just needs a friend. So somebody needs to go to Mars and collect a friend for her. Get on that, folks.
Remember the rule. Take
Elon!
nothing but pictures.
Oh my God, Elon.
On that rock.
This one's for you, buddy. You got all the money in the world to throw away on this type of an adventure. Go. Be free.
Most of it on Twitter.
Yeah.
He threw away most of it on Twitter.
We will not celebrate
He's trying not to.
you leaving.
Now he's trying not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alan, 20%.
Can't have competition. Who can't have competition and why?
We're in America. You actually had to ask.
So American casinos, gaming companies, and lawmakers are calling on federal prosecutors to crack down on illegal offshore betting sites because they don't want competition. And they have laws. Of course, those were written to be sure they didn't have any competition. And you have to go through this big application process where you pay off various people. Anyway.
Wouldn't this conflict with some international treaties on this kind of thing?
Well, maritime law is way different than anything.
I think these are offshore entering through the internet, in which case they have a legal point and not shit they can do about it, but they have a legal point. So maybe at one time it was a relative nuisance, but it's now becoming a serious threat to the legal licensed gaming industry.
How?
When you see a word like licensed gaming industry,
Because you can do it on
you
your
should
phone.
begin to wonder where the money went, and you should start looking for money to follow. So,
Oh yeah, all of that should be illegal as shit.
yep.
It is too easy to rig a digital poker game. Are you fucking insane?
Yeah, well, don't do it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the outcomes from those are probably better than the outcomes on a couple of the cryptocurrency companies.
They're just massive pyramid schemes, and they're able to somehow get away with it because it's a line of code generated by a machine.
Well, that's
It's the
all
new hotness.
cryptocurrency is, yeah. All right. Putin ally Lukashenko faces revolt. How to do with that name?
Not bad.
So, yeah, Belarus has a problem because their officers are revolting. And yes, Russian officers are revolting too, but this is revolting against Belarus.
They're saying no.
Yeah. Senior officers have warned in an open letter to Lukashenko against sending troops to fight in Ukraine, arguing that such a decision is suicide. Entering the war against Ukraine, Belarus will be evicted from the community of civilized states and will be an international outcast for many years. Yep. Hey, Cootie Boy, that's where you've taken your little toy. You know, the one with the GDP, same as Tennessee.
Hey, Belarus, you better watch your P's and Q's because you're headed right up the same street that Russia did.
Yeah, I expect Belarus has about the same GDP
You
as
get
what,
judged by your
Dominican
friends.
Republic. So, anyway. So they've been letting the Russians, you know, move stuff through Belarus and station stuff in Belarus and so forth. But now they've done an exercise to test the readiness of their troops, like they were thinking about they were going to join the Russians in Ukraine. Go ahead and fucking do it. See what happens.
You'd be better off joining the Ukrainians.
No shit. I see we blew up a huge Russian ammo dump. Well, the Ukrainians did.
Are there
With
any,
our shit.
Are there any updates on those American people that Russia said they were gonna kill?
No, they're off the front page. We'll see. I think they'll get traded.
Well, they
I don't-
better, or Russia's gonna be a even sadder panda than they already fucking are.
I don't
Well-
think they're going to be traded. I think a lot of them are already dead.
I don't think they're dead. I don't think Russia's that stupid.
We'll see. They'd be better off killing the Americans than killing the folks from the UK. Didn't folks from the UK get traded?
I feel like
Yeah, I think I heard a story.
All right,
about
we'll
that.
have to look into this, and we'll see if we can find any new information on that for you before we start spreading rumors. Okay, so we will come back with facts on that later. So let's move on for the moment. Say on the record if Gorsuch and Kavanaugh lied.
So, Representative Ted Lieu and AOC have demanded that Senate Democratic leaders say on the record whether they believe U.S. Supreme Court Justices Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh lied under oath about their views on Roe v. Wade.
They did. They flat out said that it was settled precedent. I know at least Kavanaugh. Yeah, Kavanaugh did. For
Again, she
sure.
wants this on the record. So when we get it on the record, then we can talk about an investigation in the House.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get
In a
one.
letter to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Lieu and AOC noted that neither Gorsuch nor Kavanaugh contended during their Senate confirmation hearings that Roe was, and I quote, egregiously wrong from the start, a position that both justices assented to last month. So, anyway, this is, we can't have people lying to get positions, and that may disqualify them from the position.
I
So-
hope, I hope it does, because
Well, they
here's
would
the problem.
automatically be recused.
If we don't do anything about this,
Yeah.
then this is just going to continue.
Let's
and
fuck
people
with
will
them a
keep
little.
lying, and they'll get in,
yeah.
and
Timidity invites aggression.
Yeah.
We can't teach them that lying will work.
So let's fuck with them a little bit.
Yeah, and it's on us for taking it. God.
It's on
You
Susan
knew they were fucking
Collins.
lies.
yeah,
Yep.
fucking idiot.
Yep.
All right, cause of homelessness. Wait, we know what causes this?
This is interesting.
To a large extent, right? You know, we always talk about mental health issues and drugs and so forth and so on, as though those explain
The
homelessness.
easy answers.
And to some extent they do, right? But if you're looking for something which is strongly correlated to homelessness, it's the lack or presence of low-income housing. And so the cities that have very little low-income housing
Have
have
more homeless people.
More homeless people, 5 or 6 per 1,000, which is a number that ought to make us sick to our stomachs. Nearly 1 in 100 Americans homeless. America has to work for all fucking Americans.
Yep.
This is,
Democrats, get off your goddamn ass and do something.
this is what y'all wanted, and now you're getting it, and now you're yelling about all the homeless people everywhere.
Yeah, well, they just want them to go away.
Fucking look in the mirror and say, holy shit, I'm a dumbass. Just look at yourself in the mirror if you're a Republican and say, I'm a dumbass, I'm a dumbass, I'm a dumbass, until you feel bad about yourself for
Yes.
the first time in your life. And then I need you to go through and do some real fucking research. Maybe you listen to our show, maybe you listen to other shows, and fucking, look shit up as you stumble across it. And then you make a good decision for the first time in your life, and you vote Democrat.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is a local issue. Go get your local politicians to do something for the homeless, right? It can be as simple as having an area where they can camp, where there's shade and water and services and so on.
Make
Right.
more safe places for people who
Yeah.
don't have anywhere to go to be.
Or
And you're gonna
let's
need
get
cops
some
out there.
low-income housing, which is what you said was the exact problem.
Yep.
Well,
I think that's what needs to happen, low-income housing.
Agreed, but let's do something that we can do immediately, because you can't do low-income housing in any hurry.
Let's give the people more money.
Hold on. I got this. So a bunch of corporations right now have decided that they're going to start buying up land and properties and renting them and such and such and such. So let's start funding these companies and let's start making them turn whatever apartment buildings and shit that they're buying into low-income housing.
You have no means for doing that.
You can't force
That's
them to do it.
basically
They're going-
We'd have to pass a law.
And it will be
Yeah.
considered seizing and will be found unconstitutional.
But they're companies, they're not people. Let's stop referring to companies and corporations as people. They
But
are
they have
fucking
rights
not.
in
That
court.
needs to go away.
So, no, but again, start with places where the homeless can go to be safe. And then, as a number of cities are doing, try to work to get them into low-income housing.
Well, it gets your
And the-
user density to your services in the only way you can get them. If your
And it
services
gives
are
you the
going door to
potential
door,
that
they're
they-
fucked, especially in people that don't own doors.
Right. So, but now, if the doors are staying in the same place, you might be able to go door to door and do some of the things that,
It's the recipe we've seen
get
where
them
they've
in
had success.
programs, get them,
Yeah.
So again, there are things we can do instantly, and there are other things we can do over the long haul. So we
Well,
should probably, because at some point, right, they're going to get tired of having people show up and put all their shit in a garbage truck. So anyway.
All right. Boomer Rex is about damn time. Tell me the good news.
So, 2 assholes from the white nationalist group Patriot Front are facing charges related to vandalizing a pride mural. They were also arrested last month. These are some of the same dickheads that showed up in Idaho and wanted to have a riot on Pride Day. So, and came in their little U-Haul truck like any other piece of wooden furniture. So, anyway.
I was starting it. I wanted to see they should start posting the pictures of these shitheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I still like the idea. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they'll have booking photos. Let's post some pictures.
Yeah, we post other people's pictures. Like,
oh yeah, no, I want us to follow whatever the standard rule is. It was more. I was wondering if you gave up your right to privacy when you invoked your right to say whatever the fuck you wanted. And I was like, down that path.
That's probably a state thing.
Yeah.
And there are a number of things like this where you'd have the booking photo.
Well, and I don't. Yeah.
Right. So, and some states may not permit that. I don't know. But anyway, they showed up all masked.
Yes,
spray
of
paint
course, and
over
that's
mural and
that's
so
the
forth.
point. That's why they went to the masks. And it is vaguely more menacing that they don't have faces. You don't know who they
Yeah.
are.
But they're among the 31 front members who were arrested by Coeur d'Alene police and charged with attempting to riot at the town's Pride
Yep.
Festival. So, anyway,
Good. Fuck
but it
'em.
also tells us these clowns are just driving around the country doing shit, right? So that's not that many of them. There's a hardcore group that we need to get behind bars and keep them there. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
Fuck 'em.
sounds good.
All right. Who is our dumbass of the day?
Oh, we've got several. So in the
Several.
Connecticut hometown of Revolutionary War hero Nathan Hale, a group of mothers, including a, quote, Christian taxpayer, are up in arms over the library's Pride book display and are demanding the offending materials be burned. So you got lots of book burners in the Refug Party. Again, they're just following the path the Nazis laid out for them so many years ago.
Oh,
So,
God.
Fucking idiots. Listen, they aren't harming you. Why must you go out of your way to harm them?
Power.
Yep.
It's
Makes
like
them feel like they're powerful.
yeah, no, this is just like, when people want to talk about, rape and stuff like that and try to say it has anything to do with anything other than power, you are wrong. That this is another extension of a similar want for power. That's all this is.
Yeah.
Power over other people, power over what other people do.
Well, it's a power
not
that has to
okay.
be used. It's the same problem with the guns.
Yeah.
It's not about the guns. It's they're going to use them.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to, which is the worst part. Okay. So
Mark Levin, right, who's a Fox News personality, oh God, is complaining about the new initialism LGBTQIA plus.
Yeah.
So,
Stop
and that
adding
bothers
fucking
him because he
letters.
don't knows what the alphabets mean, and he's saying, well, does that include bestiality? Is that
Yeah.
what the A stands for? No, pole smoker.
This is why we keep it booming.
Yeah, I know. You gotta catch me on that.
Before you say dumb shit.
I have probably offended certain members of my family. So, oh well. I grew up. That was a real insult.
Yeah.
it is
So-
the real. It's all
So you
that's
can
the
laugh
best.
at me when I do it and make
No,
me
there's a
stop.
groveling.
I'll get over it.
Yeah. It's the.
Anyway, so what does the A mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, I assumed that's what you were getting at. You
No.
called him an asshole for not knowing what it
It
was.
means asexual, and
Okay.
the problem is the more complex things we bolt onto the back of this, right? We are not going to cheat. It was useful when it was an initialization and short and just an encompassing word. If it has to be everybody and everyone's own original
It's
character
going to get fairly
sexuality,
long. We haven't got the furries in there yet.
Can I just say that my knowledge
Right.
of learning about the LGBTQ plus is that the whole point of it was that the Q covered everything.
Q plus. That's
The
why they
Q
had the
plus. Yeah. Because it was
what the plus is
LGBT,
for.
and then they added the Q and the plus to cover all,
all
the other
others.
people. Yeah. So
Because fucking Latinx wasn't pulling well, and they wanted to see if it was the X on the back. Like maybe everyone was
Yeah.
just confused and thought you would join the nation, but
It is.
it allows the idiots at Fox News to pretend to not understand stuff, to stare middle distance and ask the most horrible questions with nothing but a credible tone.
My better
Yeah.
question is, who are they
For their
asking?
credulous audience.
What the audience is even going to be able to respond.
No,
Just
but it's
asking it to.
The
No, no, no.
audience laps
The
it up
point is,
like
yeah.
their mother's milk.
it allows them to make it a fetish, and that's getting into the
Humanize it to an
category that isn't as protected.
Yeah. So anyway,
We're going to allow this. What else are we going to allow?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then draw
no,
the
and
line.
it's bad messaging on the part of the LGBT community,
Yeah.
and it's getting worse, right? So
Yeah,
again,
that's how these
it's
fights
like
go.
defund the cops, right?
Well, and we had this fight when drag queens were taking off in public. We had this fight when Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was making the cookie cutter gay man
Yeah.
stereotypes.
yeah.
And no, but it's kind of what reality television has. There's some home shit, some fashion shit, some other shit, and some food shit.
Yeah.
So unless you fit into these categories, I don't. Do you want to be dressed up as a squirrel? It's cool. We'll make that, but then you have to make cookies.
They made a move. No, it was a rabbit. Never mind.
Or a rat. No, that was a cartoon.
Yeah.
But no,
So a Republican politician has accused the Biden administration of trying to run down Christianity while he ranted to his colleagues about embassies that honor June as what he called Gay Month, which is the new offensive phrase the Fox has chosen.
Well, I think they get
and that it would lead other countries to think that being gay makes people rich. Well, it certainly makes them richer than being MAGA bigots.
It's true.
So, hey, if money is everything to you, you ought to give it a try. What can I tell you?
I don't understand. Well, I understand why, but I would like to point out the fact that these people are just being different. The fuck's wrong with that? Let them be their own difference.
Let them be
Let
themselves.
them be their true whatever butterfly thingy that they want to be.
Let them be whatever makes them the most comfortable.
This is where I
Nobody
usually
Nobody cares.
lose footing with my side, because it has absolutely nothing to do with whichever group they're going after.
Yeah.
They need an out group,
Yeah.
right?
They
As we've
need
seen.
something to demonize.
Well, and when it's not available, they'll go after each other. Like, that's the part I don't get about the Roman Catholics standing next to the Protestants, who, like, you do know you guys have fought in these streets before.
Yes.
You were the only ones who fired artillery on American civilians
Yep.
in, like, recent fuck-off history. Right? We fight about who's white.
And then you have this wonderful explanation from Herschel Walker about the air.
Oh, my God.
And he says, since we don't control the air, our good air decided to float over to China's bad air. And so when China gets our good air, their bad air's got to move. So it moves over to our good airspace. Then now we have to go and clean that back up.
What the fuck?
In case you ever wondered, the boy.
No, that's something Herschel Walker said.
Hold
Herschel
on, hold on,
Walker's
hold on.
a-
Did he just use his predictive text and just hit the button and then just say that?
It kind of
Does
sounds
that-
like a
that
word
sounds like
salad,
it.
but what it indicates is that his understanding of climate and climate science and so forth is simply non-existent.
He's practically ignorant.
Herschel Walker's a moron.
Yeah.
He's a fucking
That's his
football
brand.
player.
Yeah.
So
Foosball. It's a hell of a
Releasing
drug.
good air. We're tainting our air the same way China is. The only difference is the amount.
But in case it ever comes up, the boy, this is why you can't play football. You
That's
can't
why-
make sentences like that, and football makes that happen.
and China
Unless
is
you're Trump, then it's just years and years of being stupid.
Yeah.
Just utterly.
and China is deploying a herd of soldiers.
Yep.
So
All right.
I never thought I would
Hey.
have to side with China.
we can do it under climate weirding. Never mind.
Okay. So this is a weird headline. I'm not really sure how to make this point across. So,
The co-founders of failed crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital appear to have disappeared.
Oh, hey, look, an exit scam. We haven't seen that before with cryptocurrencies.
Hope you
So-
ended up in the Everglades.
Lawyers representing their creditors say the physical whereabouts of Zusu and Kyle Davies, who started Three Arrows in 2012, are currently unknown. So, anyway, this is the one that went totally belly up, right? And
Was
so
this
they're
big
left
time?
holding their largest creditor. They owe $677 million to. There's a firm has been hired to supervise the liquidation process, but at this point, nobody has any idea what Three Arrows Capital owns. So, if you had money with them, you're probably done.
Barnabas, set a Google alert for the Davies family and
Yeah.
the other ones. If they turn up missing, then we know they stole from criminals and not for criminals.
Exit scamming is
So we can
everywhere.
move right on into China.
I mean, hey, I might steal a shit ton of Bitcoin
China
if all the people who
crushes
judge me die.
mass protests by bank depositors.
So on Sunday, China violently dispersed a peaceful protest of hundreds of depositors who have sought in vain to get their life savings back from banks that have run into deepening cash crisis. Since April, 4 rural banks in China's central Henan province have frozen millions of dollars worth of deposits, so threatening the livelihood of hundreds of thousands of people. So there are 4 banks in the Chinese province of Henan which have frozen millions of dollars worth of deposits. The depositors have staged several demonstrations, and they just want their money back, right? So this is the China State Bank. This is not some off-the-wall, little
Random bank. Yeah.
random bank. So anyway, if I recall correctly, the head of this little group of 4 banks, the regional head, has been arrested. So guilty or innocent, that sucker's in big trouble.
Okay.
So anyway, so it happens in China too. I thought China was all egalitarian. Apparently not.
Yeah, right? I mean, you'd think the least that they could do is make sure that their people have the money they put into the friggin' bank.
Yeah, and
Even here in America, we gave our banks that aren't fucking government banks bailouts so that people wouldn't have to worry about losing hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. So, whatever. All right. 10 GOP members of Congress implicated.
Yeah, so these are the folks who were part and parcel of Trump's attempt to overthrow the government of the United States. And I think they just need their names read to the record, right?
Fair.
They also need to be called in front of the January 6th committee, put under oath, and asked questions.
Sounds
right?
it.
So, obviously, you got Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani. They've both already been subpoenaed. Congressman Brian Babin, Republican Texas. Andy Biggs, Republican Arizona. Matt Gaetz, Republican Florida. Louis Gohmert, Republican Texas. Paul Gosar, Republican Arizona. Andy Harris, Republican Maryland. Joyce Heiss, Republican Georgia. Jim, G-Y-M, Jordan, Republican Ohio. And Scott Perry, Republican Pennsylvania. So, they ought to be put under oath.
Yeah.
This
No,
should be investigated.
Definitely.
So, again,
I agree.
what did they know? When did they know it? What acts did they participate in? What
Yeah.
were their agreements? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
All about
that's all important stuff. So, oops.
We had talked about this in the pregame. New York has been babbling about what to do if there's a nuclear attack.
We talked about that in pregame yesterday.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
So I went back to, on the morning of Saturday, January the 13th, 2018, an alert was accidentally issued via the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alert system over television, radio, and cell phones in the U.S. state of Hawaii. The alert stated there was an incoming ballistic missile threat to Hawaii and advised residents to seek shelter and concluded this is not a drill.
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
I remember that. That was fucking insane.
Yeah. I know people who were in Hawaii when that happened.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
And as he said,
people who were there.
what do you do? Shit. So it took them like 35 minutes to recognize they had made this terrible mistake and withdraw the warning. So, what do you do for 35 minutes while you're expecting to die? Now, I'd have found by that time I'd have been holed up somewhere, but still.
I would have been holed up somewhere with a bottle of rum and just being like, my life was good, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. Updates with BoomerRex health threats.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, or just when you thought it was safe to go back in the pharmacy. Right?
Oh, no.
The lavender scented spritz from Walmart.
Ah, yes.
You wouldn't automatically think of exotic disease, but it appears to have been contaminated with Burkholderia pseudomallei bacteria, and it sparked a deadly outbreak. So again, this can come at you from any direction, right?
Yeah.
But
It's crazy because that happened a while ago, too. This
Yeah.
isn't the first time that they've had this kind of thing with essential oils.
So, allow me to say, if you're aerosolizing a product made in India or China, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It's that simple, right?
Can we just stop doing weird shit with chemicals that don't do anything?
Yeah, well, it was cheap and it sold when they put it on the shelf and so forth. So anyway,
Yeah. All right. Climate weirding.
all right. So it took Switzerland 2 billion euros, which is $2 billion today.
Wasn't it 1-to-1 today?
Yeah. And 14 years. But their underground water battery is now complete and operational.
What?
And so they use the excess generation to pump water uphill during the day and to bring it downhill to produce electricity at night. So the site can generate 900 megawatts of power, which is the equivalent of a major a major coal or nuclear plant. And it can generate that for roughly 20 hours, right? So you can cover the period overnight when your solar is not doing anything. So it's a shame solar doesn't make oxygen overnight like plants, but anyway. Good idea. It's installed. It's running. Wasn't cheap, but then again, a 900 megawatt plant, not going to be cheap. So, hey, and it has an effectively infinite lifetime, right? Replace a pump every now and then, but you're not ever going to have your battery chemistry fail you. So anyway, way to go.
Hell yeah.
And I found a vehicle today that I might consider buying, which is, we've talked about electric cars and so forth and so on. And if you want to save money and be good to the environment, the simplest thing to do is to buy a very lightweight gasoline car with a small engine. And it costs less to run, it produces less CO2, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to go a step further,
Electric Hummer.
Yeah.
God. If you want to go a step further, you can buy one of the EVs. They tend to be substantially more expensive, and you'll have to own them for 7 or 8 years to break even on the gasoline cost. So, but again, and they're much cleaner to operate because the electricity they're burning, regardless of where it was generated, is cleaner than the internal combustion engine.
Yeah, no matter how
So-
you argue it,
Yeah.
some of the electricity will be green, some of it won't be, versus all of it
Even if it was
guaranteeing
all
won't be.
made from coal, it's better because
It's
those
still more
plants are more
efficient,
efficient.
yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, but I found a little car. Because I've always said, why are we lugging around something that weighs damn near 3 tons? What the hell is the point?
Federal.
So I'm
crash
sorry,
guidelines.
damn near 1.5 tons, right? So, the typical small cars, 2,400 to 2,800 pounds. This is idiotic. So, there's a little 3-wheel car made by Electromechanica called the Solo. It'll go 100 miles, right? Which is perfect for going shopping or commuting to and from work.
Yeah, as long as you
Even
remember to
I
carry it.
could commute to and from work on it. Goes 80 miles an hour on the freeway, no faster. That's all it'll do. Goes 0 to 60 in 10 seconds, which is it's
Reasonable.
okay for a sedan. So 2 wheels in front, 1 wheel behind. It's a single person vehicle. It has about 6 cubic feet total of storage space. So you could take it shopping. Again, if you're shopping for a huge family, you may wish you had more space. But again, and
Less
it costs,
horrific than they tend to be.
it costs $18,000.
Yeah.
That's not that bad compared
That's
to
not that
others.
bad.
And it's not fugly.
No, it's not. It's kind of cute.
It's better than everything previously.
Yeah. And it's got air conditioning and radios and stereos.
It's so
and,
cute. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah. So anyway,
Well, and won't it have a longer lifespan than most cars due to less moving parts kind of thing?
depends on how well it's engineered. But yes, electric cars. They're unbelievably simpler, right? You have a battery, a box of electronics, and an electric motor. And no transmission, right? You just run the electric motor at different speeds.
Yeah.
So,
The hard part would be translating that in ways that would feel kind of ish like a gasoline car.
Oh, it'll beat any gasoline car the first 200 feet.
Well, I mean more control-wise and how it.
I
feels.
suspect it would eat a Corvette for the first 200 feet.
Yeah.
And I mean alive. Again, because for two reasons. One, you have instantaneous response from the motor. The second thing is electric motors produce their maximum torque at their lowest speed, unlike gasoline engines. So coming off a light,
Doesn't have to spool
that
up.
electric motor gives you everything it's got, while the guy next door,
Has to shift, has to...
yeah.
Yep.
So anyway,
Cool.
yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I think you could do that again if you make it out of the right materials. I think you can make that a two-person car relatively simply,
Without
add
increasing the cost
relatively
much.
little weight, right? And so again, we'll see.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm going to make a motorcycle into a self-driving murder bot.
Yeah. Well, this
Fair.
would probably be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
BMW's already doing the self-driving.
Okay.
Well, and repairing of it's going to be a lot simpler too,
Yeah.
because with gas cars you'd have to go to an engineer, but in this case, you could probably look up a guide on the internet and probably not break anything.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Worst case, you're going to need to replace your battery. 10
disconnect
years,
the wires,
10
put a
years
new
down the
one in.
road if you use it a lot. Yeah, and there are places that replace batteries in electric vehicles all the time.
yeah.
But you still have, you've got bearings, you've got a steering system, etc.
Yeah.
Which are going to last kind of the same way they do in a car.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you've simplified hell out of your drive system.
Yeah, exactly. You've deleted a couple of whole-ass systems, even with the introduction of new ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that electronics that runs your motor, first of all, it's relatively simple. Second, it's solid state,
Yeah.
right? It really should last bloody well forever. So
Yeah, unless you mechanically break the thing.
All right, so let's get on to today's January 6th hearing. So let's start with what's the right wing talking about?
What'd they say?
So, first of all, I'm going to tell you OANN, yeah.
How were they doing? Have they found
Uh,
fucking Sasquatch?
They are sad about their life choices.
You know, if they did, like, if any of these shitheads were just as bad, like, the Weekly World News wasn't evil.
yeah, no, these are a whole
So-
new thing.
For sure, Batboy even bit Nazis.
OANN's top story: Biden wants assault weapons ban, legislation making gun owners liable for not securing firearm. Then just below that, they talk about firefighters gaining ground on wildfire at Yosemite National Park. They talk about Uber. Talk about a couple of senators. And then they have members of the LGBTQ community speaking out against grooming children because that's not what
Something
the
they do.
LGBTQ community
Yeah.
is about. So, anyway, I love how they make it like it's a surprise.
Well, it is to the MAGA
To
bigots.
the fucking right tards.
Yeah.
Okay. Second Amendment activist optimistic in reversing gun ban on DC Metro. Oh, this is a good one. New York City bodega worker kicked off of GoFundMe finds non-woke alternative because GoFundMe is super woke apparently.
Racist.give.
And their final story, California legislature still pushing for more vaccine bills. Oh, golly gee, no.
Hey.
And
It's going, if you go in the wrong direction, to point out, is it Ohio? One of them is codifying anti-vaxxer garbage into their laws now.
Oh,
But
cool.
that's,
Really?
yeah, it's done. But I'm not trying to distract us. What else did I'm shocked at how not shocked I am that OAN is just
They
liquidized.
didn't even cover it. They're
Yeah.
so embarrassed. They
Yeah.
didn't even write a fucking
No,
story.
no. We've found this with pretty much every hearing. OANN does not cover them at all. Not even a footnote.
Not until I get an answer.
But So then I went over to check out how our friends at Fox News are doing. And you know what? They did have a story on their front page.
Really?
Yeah, if you scroll down 22 stories, it was the
Okay.
22nd story
Okay.
on their front page. So like,
They tried to bury it.
so like way,
That's how you
way-
bury your lead. Yep.
way down the bottom. They funny side note here. They had two stories about Jill Biden's breakfast taco gaffe before they had the January 6th. Two separate stories. One about the fact that it happened, and the second about the fact that the people on The View were talking about it. Because, you know, talking about it just once was not enough. And they were only separated by two stories.
Yeah. No, you can always report the reporting to get extra mileage out of a bad story, which is what they're doing.
It's just stupid. But anyway, so yeah, they did cover the January 6th hearings. I didn't bother reading their drivel because that's all it is drivel. So we won't get into that today. Maybe some other day when I'm feeling
We'll get
more-
into it if we find they say anything
Maybe some other
interesting.
day if I'm feeling more charitable, but I'm not this.
On Fox News, it's more likely to be amusing
Oh,
than
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's the sad
So-
part.
The New York Times has 4 takeaways from the latest hearing of the House January 6th committee by Michael S. Schmidt. The 7th public hearing by the House Committee investigating the January 6th riot focused on how Donald J. Trump and his allies turned their efforts towards summoning a mob of his supporters to Washington to protest the certification of the election after they had exhausted all legal avenues. Relying on testimony from Trump's aides, right-wing media, commentators, and militia members, the committee demonstrated how Mr. Trump's public statements led his supporters to believe the election had actually been stolen and storm the Capitol in an attempt to stop the certification. Here are the 4 main takeaways. A Trump tweet mobilized the crowd for January 6th. In the early morning hours of December 19th, 2020, Mr. Trump put out a tweet calling on his supporters to come to Washington on January 6th. A big protest in D.C. on January 6th, Mr. Trump tweeted. Be there, will be wild. The committee demonstrated how the tweet served as a rallying cry for Mr. Trump's supporters, including extremist organizations and right-wing media commentators. They immediately began whipping up support both within far-right groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and among ordinary citizens who believed Mr. Trump's lies about the election, and in many cases, the online commentary that followed what Mr. Trump supporters heard as a call to arms was infused with talk of violence. We are going to only be saved by millions of Americans moving to Washington, occupying the entire area if necessary, storming right into the Capitol, Matt Brecken, a right-wing commentator, said in a video clip posted soon after Mr. Trump's tweet and played on Tuesday by the committee. We know the rules of engagement. If you have enough people, you can push down any kind of fence or wall. Once the crowd came to Washington, testimony on Tuesday showed Mr. Trump's supporters continued to take their cues from him. I was hanging on every word he was saying, said one supporter, Stephen Ayers, who has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of disorderly and disruptive conduct for his role in attacking the Capitol. Mr. Ayers said that he had not planned to rush the Capitol, but decided to do so after hearing Mr. Trump address the crowd on the ellipse near the White House. Well, basically, the president, he got everybody riled up, told everybody to head on down, so we basically were just following what he said, Mr. Ayers said. Mr. Ayers said that he was angry because he was convinced the election had been stolen and something had to be done to right that wrong. He said that the crowd believed Mr. Trump was going to meet them at the Capitol. I think everybody thought that he was coming down, Mr. Ayers said. He said in his speech, kind of like he's going to be there with us. So, I mean, I believed it.
Yeah, I think the orange moron thought he was going down there too.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've been thinking about this real hard. The more information we see and how this is all playing out. And we know that there were people in hotel rooms with guns who are waiting for signals and such, and those signals were never given. If Trump had gone to the Capitol that day, I feel like everything would have played out exactly the way it was planned. I think him not going is what kind of calmed it down a little bit.
Prevented the guy with the hand grenades in his truck from grabbing them.
No, because he's still. Here's the thing: Trump himself, as Asshole was saying earlier, is not the type to speak the crimes. He will never say. Yeah. So he couldn't give the order if he wasn't there. Him being there was the sign, the signal that we're doing this.
Yeah.
So him not being there, because we know that the Secret Service was like, fuck you, Mr. President, you are not going. And whether we believe that he tried to fight that or not, we know that he probably yelled really loudly about it, if for nothing else. But it's terrifying to me that if he had gone there, he probably would have succeeded in his
whoever stopped him
attempt
from going there saved hundreds of lives.
I don't know. But anyway, new evidence showed plans to go to the Capitol. I don't want to read this whole big long thing. So instead, we're going to give you a basic rundown of what they're talking about. So basically, what happened was there had been contact with some of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and such prior to January 6th. To start planning this thing. And Trump knew it was happening, but he wouldn't say it out loud. So people were getting signals and such to start preparing to attack the Capitol, basically. There was Zoom call meetings that they recorded and kept the recordings of because they're super smart. So we got to listen to some of those at during the hearing today. So that's basically what they were talking about there, is that there were plans prior to, but it was sort of supposed to be kept all hush-hush, right? Like that was the whole thing. So it was supposed to be more word of mouth, which is why Trump never outright posted it. Instead, he posted stuff like, stand back and stand by and all that other crap that we know he did. Then there was an epic Oval Office clash. So some people had come to visit Trump. Who was it?
No, the Kraken lady,
Yes.
General Flynn,
Yes.
Giuliani
And the dude from the other company. He
No,
used to run-
Overstock.com.
Yeah, he used to run Overstock.com. So these clowns show up, and they get a private meeting with Trump, and then Cipollone heard about it, and he was like, "What the fuck?" So he runs in there to try to figure out what's going on, and this turned into a shouting match. There were threats. There was, people saying that they weren't loyal and, to Trump and all kinds of stuff. So there was a big fight between these idiots that fucking just had no right to be there, should never have been allowed in. I don't know how they even, nobody knows how they got in, so that was weird. But anyway, so they got in, and there was this huge fight that spanned 3 different rooms all the way back to the Trump's personal, the yellow Oval Office or whatever, his personal space. So anyway, so that was weird, and it was hard to keep track of like what was happening because it was a lot of back and forth, and Cipollone was talking, and it sounded kind of like a word salad to me. So I don't know. I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah,
But
he was being very careful with his testimony.
it was weird. So that was strange and ridiculous all at the same time, but nothing less than what we expect from Trump. And then the final thing is more warnings against witness tampering. As she did at the end of and I'm reading the article again. As she did at the end of the previous 2 hearings weeks ago, Representative Liz Cheney, the committee vice chair, warned against witness tampering in her closing statements. And this time her message was aimed directly at Mr. Trump. Ms. Cheney said that a witness whom she declined to identify, other than to say the person's testimony had not been made public so far, had gotten a call in the last 2 weeks from Mr. Trump. The witness, Ms. Cheney, said, received the call after the last hearing in which Cassidy Hutchinson, a former West Wing aide, provided damning testimony about Trump. Ms. Cheney said that the witness declined to pick up Mr. Trump's call or respond to it, but the witness told his or her lawyer, who alerted the committee. The committee then passed the information along to the Justice Department, which on Tuesday declined to comment. Let me say one more time, we will take any effort to influence witness testimony very seriously, Ms. Cheney said. After Ms. Hutchinson's public testimony on June 28th, the committee disclosed efforts by Trump's allies to reach a witness who turned out to be Ms. Hutchinson. On Tuesday, a spokesman for Mr. Trump said on Twitter that Ms. Cheney was trafficking in innuendo and lies, but did not directly address whether Mr. Trump had tried to reach out to a witness, because he absolutely did. Absolutely did. Short of showing me some real serious evidence, 24-hour video of Trump the day of, non-stop, no breaks, nothing. Maybe you
Trying to
can
get his tiny
convince
hands
me
around
he
things.
didn't make
You would have
that
to
phone
prove
call.
he called the wrong person. That'd be the only reason
No.
I can think of. You
Butt
have
dial.
to prove he called the
Yeah.
wrong person.
Butt
Yeah.
dial. That's what I would
Yeah.
claim if I were Trump.
So these hearings,
With my tiny hands, it's hard to dial.
on top of being extremely interesting and learning new and scarier things every time we watch, are really fucking important. If you're not paying attention, you should be. I don't know what to tell you. I understand maybe you don't have time to watch it, which is why we cover it and I read an article or whatever so that you
Yeah.
guys get a general idea of what's going on. That's part of what we do to help you out, because we know you're busy people. But, I think that if you do have time, instead of watching that new movie, sit down and watch one of these.
Yeah,
or
and
two
they're
of
on
these.
YouTube. So
They're on YouTube. There's free access. They're easy. But they're important. These hearings have the potential to change America. Mainly because it could go one way or the other, right?
yeah,
This could, come to
This
its
is set a precedent.
this could come to its natural conclusion and could just go, or it could come to its natural conclusion and shit might actually fucking get done. I'm really hoping the shit might actually get done, but I'm more expecting them to be honest.
it ought to make you furious that a group attempted an armed overthrow of the government of the United States of America.
They thought
The good news is they failed. Now we need to put some of them in jail.
Yes.
they were
some
willing
of the
to
leadership.
believe that their willingness to do violence trumped your vote.
Yeah,
No, and
Yep.
Trump should never be allowed to run for president again. End of story. Thanks for playing. You fucked it up.
No, because if you declare pirate ship in America, it's all over by the second afternoon.
yeah.
And I'm gonna be really happy on a yacht somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I don't know about on a yacht.
Whatever. Cool, big, expensive thing we steal from dum-dums.
Big old airship.
Bar and brothel.
Oh my god.
love it.
We
Yeah,
make a lot
there
of
you go.
money. We're gonna be in such and such town tomorrow night.
That's right.
Right?
landing for
Robot bouncers don't get
exactly-
fucked with.
landing for exactly 10 minutes and takeoff time. If you are not on the ship, it will leave without you.
All aboard. It'd be fun.
It would be.
So,
All right, so that's that. I'm sorry. This whole January 6th thing has me just. There's so much new information, and it's a lot to take in. So
For all of
Yep.
you who are saying it wasn't a big deal, yeah, it fucking was.
it was a big deal.
says
We've
the
got-
kid who didn't watch it.
10 members of Congress who appear to have been involved in some way or another. They should be asked about that involvement
Yeah.
under oath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be the only question anyone asks them.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know, I think in some instances, this whole pleading the fifth bullshit.
Only protects you from the state.
Yeah, we need a list of those that asked for a pardon, because asking for a pardon is kind of,
Guilty knowledge, huh?
yeah, seems to me it is. I'd certainly present it that way.
I certainly would have. First off, I wouldn't have asked for a pardon in a paper trailable way. Secondly, if I'm asking for a pardon, that's the kind of thing that I'm not leaving this room without one,
Yeah.
or having committed a crime that I'm already going to be front page. So,
Right.
So I'm leaving here with a pardon, or I'm going to DOJ. Take your pick.
Yeah, one or the other. Let's go. All right. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review. Smash that like button on YouTube. Go to BoomerRexTonight. No spaces for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BoomerRexTonight. And if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We love you all. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back here tomorrow night on BoomerRexTonight.
Good luck, Internet. Don't be stupid.